Hey everyone, Mark here. Really quickly, I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce a panel that we did down at Fandemic Tour in Houston in October of this year. Now, this is the first time I've run this panel, and unfortunately, one of the factors working against us on this was that the panel for Sebastian Stan was going on in the main room next door. So our audience was kind of limited because he's kind of a big deal, in case you weren't aware. However, my friend Cameron and I did our best. We sucked it up. Covered a lot of good ground. I got a lot of material for perhaps the next time we run this at another event. And hopefully you watch it and enjoy it, but if not, I totally get it because, again, first time we've run it. So here it is. The Visually Stunning Movie Podcast presents the Quotability Index. Enjoy. This is the Quotability Index. The Quotability Index, with a quick definition, is a mythical scale from 0 to 1 on which you rank a movie based on how quotable it is as a whole. Everyone has a movie quote that they like. Everyone has a movie they like that they'll quote, but that doesn't necessarily make it a quotable movie. So to start, what we're going to talk about is what makes a quotable movie, what makes one movie more quotable than another, and then we'll just kind of have some fun and try to rank various films as we go through this. My name is Mark Woodring. I host the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I have a master's degree in English literature, so I love story and I love words, which plays right into movie quotes. This is my co-host for the day.
My name's Cameron Orwin. I don't have any specialty in this. I've been a gamer for 40 years and a movie fan for 50. So basically, I'm just here to add my 2 cents where it might be appropriate.
Because movie quotes are about fans. This is not a scientific process. We're not going to do any kind of total word count based on what words are quoted and whatnot. This is as subjective as every movie is to every viewer. So we will hope to have some fun, and you guys will be asked for some input as we go. Generally speaking, though, let's start with what do you think makes a good movie quote? What makes a line quotable?
For me, the quotability has to do with how often you can work it into everyday life, and that something happens and you can pop off this quote that everybody knows where it comes from, and it fits the setting. So,
and everyone, and to play off that, everyone, if you'll use that quote, everyone will instantly know what movie you're using. I have a bad feeling about this. Everyone knows exactly what movie you're talking about, and it's easy to remember. Like, you walk out of the film and that line is in your head, even if you don't realize it at the time, but like a day or two later, something will pop up and that's like, boing, and there it is. That's line X that we needed for this particular situation. And you're just like, yep,
or how, a wide application, like damn near anything can happen and you can turn to somebody and say, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, yes, I think everyone, I don't think people that haven't seen Jaws use "we're gonna need a bigger boat." It works itself in every day, even if it's inappropriate a lot of times.
Especially if it's inappropriate some of the time.
Especially if it's inappropriate. But yeah, so it's easy to remember when you come out of the film. Everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. And you're right, it can just, at the oddest of places, just kind of pop up into conversation. What is your go-to movie quote?
Now? Joker. There were so many quotes in that movie that I loved.
The one that just at any time of day, but I mean even before Joker. Because I think part of what makes a good movie quote is longevity. Yeah. If it's, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. How old? I mean,
Yeah.
80 years?
Yeah, it was in the 30s, right?
39?
Terminator, I'll be back.
I mean, yeah, but that quote just hangs around.
Yeah.
You know, so the movie of the month, it might be quotable now, but is it going to be quotable a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years? What's the one before you went and saw Joker? Anything could happen. But what was your? Because I'll bet you don't even realize what it was.
Chronicles of Riddick. I loved some quotes in that. Kill the beast while he's wounded. I use that all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good quote.
Yeah, we didn't even have that on our
That's
list.
not on our list of films. Yeah, I mean, our list is obviously going to be far from exhaustive. What about yours? Your go-to movie quote?
I don't really have a go-to, but
Do you have a go-to movie that you go to?
Jurassic Park, I guess.
Good, actually, some good quotes in Jurassic Park. Which one do you like?
Like me, my sister, and my cousin, we always joke life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yep, and that's one that you can often fit into damn near anything. You know, I mean, I'll be working in the yard and, you know, weeds, you know, I'm pulling weeds and I'm like, life finds a way, you know?
Yeah, I know. You're torturing. My favorite from Jurassic Park is, yeah, but your scientists were so concerned about whether or not they could, they'd never stop the thought if they should. And to replace scientist with anything else. and you can apply that to your boss. Yeah, we have a new policy. Oh, you. Oh. So,
The movie, he's like, oh, God help us, we're in the hands of engineers.
oh, you were in the hands of engineers. I've worked with engineers. I actually know how true that is. So, what a quotable movie? What is not a quotable movie? If no one has seen the movie, and by no one I mean it's got to be wide. People have to know what movie we're talking about. So it can't be it can be a niche movie, because I'm going to lump Evil Dead, just as an example, into that. It's kind of a niche movie, but it's kind of grown out of that. But it's got to be a well-known movie. It can't be some indie film out of Pakistan from 8 years ago that no one's ever seen. And I think the other thing is that it can't just be a movie that you happen to have memorized in its entirety.
Right.
Because just because you know all the quotes doesn't necessarily make it a quotable film. I actually came into this with I had a theoretical gold standard of a film, and then you pulled one out when we were talking about this, and I'm still debating whether I'm going to cave and give it to you. But we'll get to those two in a minute. Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it started as niche because Monty Python isn't that wide, but if anyone's seen the Holy Grail, that's just, you know, some people call me Tim, Runaway, my other favorite.
The thing that amazed me about the Holy Grail is when we were teenagers, we started quoting the Holy Grail, and we thought we were cool because we were quoting the Holy Grail. And I've got a son who was in Boy Scouts, and when he was about 12, he and his friends started quoting the Holy Grail.
There's your
And
longevity.
It was really strange that the exact same thing had happened for them, that, you know, they like went through that phase of quoting that same movie.
Yep. So that's one that I have that high. Just as I'm not going to throw a number out there yet, but I have that one on the higher end, the upper half of the index. I talked about Star Wars a minute ago. You know, I have a bad feeling about this. May the Force be with you. And everyone might just jump up and think, oh, Star Wars, that's such a quotable movie, but really not. It's got a handful of across a franchise of 8, 9, 10 movies now, coming up on 11 movies. But there's like a handful of quotes in that film. But those quotes are really pervasive. But I don't think Star Wars is actually really that quotable.
Right.
On the index.
There's like in the geek culture, it's very quotable, but only in a very specific group of people. You know, I mean, it's with Disney acquiring it and even making it even further. I mean, I was in Disneyland 2 weeks ago, and there were shirts that were "I love you,"
And I know, the couple shirts.
The couple shirts.
Yep.
You know, just becoming more and more prevalent.
And so it's what your turn, Firefly. Let's see if he gets it. What is your favorite movie to quote? Hers is Jurassic Park. What is a movie you think is really quotable? Back to the Future. Throw me a quote. 1.21 gigawatts.
How often can you work that into conversation?
Anytime I drive a car.
Anytime anyone talks numbers at work, you can normally work that one in. That's good. What is it? Whoa, Doc, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Or Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
What are they quotable? Again, there's a lot of catchphrases, but are they really quotable? Like I said, one of my favorite movies is Evil Dead, because there's a handful of, and by Evil Dead I'm going to go franchise, even though most of the really good quotes are in Army of Darkness, and Ash vs. Evil Dead if you haven't watched it. Watch that show. But I think overall, it's not really high on as a quotable movie. It's a great fun movie, but he's groovy, any insult he throws toward a deadite. But yeah, there's not really quotable. But it's a great movie.
Shop smart.
Shop smart. But you can, I think that's the other way you can identify a good movie quote. If someone starts it, and like more than half the people that hear it can finish it, that's a great movie quote, because it's right back to the identifiability and the wide application.
Well, here's what I find strange is we've asked y'all which were your most quotable movies, and for me, most of the quotable movies tend to be comedies, and nobody has named a comedy, and that kind of catches me strangely.
Because that is weird.
Maybe that's just my personal preference. That
I think it's tougher to work a dramatic quote. I mean, there has to be a really specific reason to use a dramatic quote. Whereas a comedic quote, you use it to break tension.
Yep.
You use it to express disgust, depending on what environment you're in. One of the movies you mentioned was Casablanca, which has a couple of classic film, handful of quotes that are often misquoted.
right?
But you know what? I think we might have to amend the formula, so to speak, to allow, because if you can misquote a movie and people still know what you're trying to say, I think that it's like, I get what you're saying, but you got it wrong. Of course, it kind of makes you a gatekeeper too when you do that. But Casablanca, not play it again, Sam. Sam, play that. What was it? Play that song again, or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll always have Paris. What was the other?
It's this looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
You can find a use, but those are kind of heavier quotes that you have to have a very specific application for. Let's mention the you know what? The last one I put on the list, Galaxy Quest. How many great lines are in Galaxy Quest? Part of it is because it parodies so many other films, so it automatically brings some identifiability in, I think.
Right.
And it strikes that comedic tone. So it's taking something that people already love, putting it in another form that they love, and it's identifying. Old friend.
Well, the
show must go on.
We're trying to limit ourselves here to movies when, you've got plays and all sorts of TV shows that we're specifically excluding. And I think Galaxy Quest allows you to bridge that gap, like you were just saying, because it's taking these TV tropes and these theater tropes and allowing us to
it really is
pull quotes
and
from them.
and it's putting them in a format that is more widely accessible.
Right.
Again, and I think the fact that it plays on so many other well-known properties that are so identifiable, and it does it in such a respectful way, makes that irreverent, but respectful.
While poking fun, yeah.
While poking fun with love. Okay, I'm going to go to your choice for the gold standard of quotable films, and I will tell you right now, as I was sitting in my hotel room this morning flipping around channels, it came on, and I couldn't believe it. Airplane. That, good Lord, you mentioned that, and I didn't know how I didn't already have it on my list. That movie is just chock-a-block, full of quotes.
Yeah, I mean, damn near that entire script is quotable. And it became, I think it started out as a niche film, in that silly, well, it created its own genre, didn't it?
It did.
But it's really become widespread, and so many people have seen Airplane that you can make quotes from it, and a large, at least a group of people that I hang out with, which of course everybody's circle of friends is going to be different, or circle of acquaintances. So
yeah, and actually the one thing I did, mild sidebar, the one thing I think that really helps make that movie memorable, aside from the fact that the dialogue is so quotable, and because it's very non-specific, so that makes it timeless. You can put it anywhere. It's not like a current political joke or whatever. It's just all these very general, almost Python-esque bits of humor. But there's so much visually in that film. Like easily half the humor in that film is just stuff back there that's not right here with what we're dealing with. And then when you watch it again, you're like, how did I miss A, B, C, D, and Q in the back? And it's like, but your brain does remember that, and so there's a lot of psychological garbage going on there. But
I wonder if a film has more surreal aspects, if that makes it more quotable.
If you're like paying more attention.
Well, I'm saying
you have to pay more attention, I guess.
Because of the absurdity of it, it fits in more. Like you were just saying, it doesn't have to make sense, because you can drop an airplane quote damn near anywhere, because it didn't fit in the film.
It's true. Do you like to watch movies about gladiators?
Yeah. You ever been in a Turkish prison?
Yeah. What is that? That's true. They are, because they're complete. Most of the dialogue in that film. What's your favorite? Will you get over it?
Yeah, over Macho Grande? Yeah. I'll never be over Macho Grande.
Sorry, that was ours. Sorry you guys had to see that. So Airplane is definitely up there. It's 0.90 plus, right, in the Quotability Index. They may or may not agree. So my choice for the gold standard coming in was The Princess Bride. I jokingly say that's like a 0.98 on the Quotability Index, because I'm not even sure what lines you cut out of that film that aren't quotable more than any, because literally any line of dialogue is applicable in some situation in your life. We are men of action. Lies do not become us. I see you have 6 fingers on your right hand.
And again, I'm starting to think maybe the fact that so many of the quotes are surreal. It's like, I am the Brute Squad.
Call the Brute Squad.
You can put that in any conversation, because again, it has no real meaning anyway. It's hard to take out of context, because it didn't have a context.
Because it didn't really have a context to begin with. Yeah. That's an interesting theory. I kind of like that. How do you guys feel about your quotes? Do you like to pull them out, or do you just like one? I mean, does it help them stick out?
1.4 gigawatt
or 1.21 gigawatt. It doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
It is a ridiculous, just throwaway kind of line. Stop and think about it. So is I love you, I know. I know was just a throwaway, the 8th take ad lib that they needed, but it's one of the most quotable lines in the film.
Well, we're going to need a bigger boat was ad libbed.
Was ad libbed again. So it's sometimes sometimes fate is sometimes maybe you can't actually craft a quotable film. Maybe you should just write a straight film and see if you can get some stuff out of it. So The Princess Bride, but going back, because marriage, and everyone immediately has an image in their head.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
God, that movie's so great. Sorry. But yeah, there are some films that are way up above. Princess Bride, Airplane. Those are like just so full. And you're right. The absurdity level may actually be a huge factor in making it stick in your brain, but then B, allowing you to relocate those to. Deadpool, the first film. Everyone liked Deadpool because what did he do? He made a bunch of pop culture references. So all he was doing was riffing other people's material. It's like, well, is that really? So are you quoting Deadpool, or are you quoting Deadpool quoting other people? He quotes the old pirate joke. He should have worn he had the right idea. He wore his brown pants. It's like, but that's, he's riffing an old pirate joke. So it's like, so is Deadpool really quotable? Would you guys lump Deadpool as a quotable film? Everyone loved Deadpool. Let's not fool ourselves. I loved it, but and you use it, but you stop and think about it. It's like, is it really original, or is it really literally just Deadpool breaking the fourth wall over and over again and stealing from everyone else?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily quote Deadpool. You just think you're Deadpool, so you.
Oh, maybe we are Deadpool.
You channel Deadpool.
You channel Deadpool.
So one of the other movies that we have on our list is The Godfather. And what I find interesting about us putting that on the list is, did you ever see You've Got Mail? No,
Yes.
no.
No, it was You've Got Mail.
Yeah. And
I'm sad I know that, sorry.
Meg Ryan is talking with Tom Hanks, and he quotes The Godfather. And she says, "What is it about men and The Godfather?" And Tom Hanks said, "What? The Godfather can be used for any situation."
Yes, it's the I Ching. It's what I believe is what he used. What the answer? What should I pack for the trip? Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Take the cannoli. Also ad-libbed, by the way.
Was it really?
Yep.
That's hilarious. Oh, it was the cannoli line.
Yeah.
Just leave the gun was.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's a drama. But again, is there a really dramatic quote that you've used in a non-traditional setting?
No, because I use quotes to break the ice or to get a chuckle.
Which will normally work. You don't use them at work? I use them at work all the time. Normally it stops me from swearing over the cubicle farm. So I'll pick a quote to do something. But yeah, so that's drama really does get left out. It's kind of, so comedy has a place. Maybe that's why comedies are harder.
Because those become quotes. They're not movie quotes.
That's true. They do just become these little bits of.
You look at Shakespeare and how much he added to the English language, and there are cliches that were created by Shakespeare that are still used today. But you have quotes. But I don't think that any of these things that we've been bandying about will be used for anything serious. I think that's the difference between a quote and a movie quote.
True. That's an interesting way to look at it. Because a movie quote will always be a quote from a movie, whereas a quote it's just kind of non-attributional. It just becomes part of the lexicon.
Like people now, we use a pound of flesh, as a thing.
Yeah.
In English, but will we ever use 1.21
gigawatts? Not till Tesla actually gives us a really good electric car that we can actually use all day, every day. That doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
And that's coming
I think
down.
that came from somewhere. An arm and a leg.
That I don't know.
It's one of those. It's one of those sayings that works. So yeah. So maybe that's the thing. A good movie quote transcends being a movie quote and just becomes a quote.
A quote.
That's really deep. I wouldn't have expected that. Nicely done, sir. Wow. I have to digest that for a second. That hurt my brain. So we have a couple other movies we want to talk about. Rocky Horror.
By definition, it's quotable because the entire point of the movie the popularity of the movie is it was like a sing-along, quote-along.
But that wasn't what it was built for. That's what it became.
Wait.
It was supposed to be an actual film that didn't have a life until people started watching it at midnight on Friday and dressing up and singing along. But that's so basically we have frustrated theater geeks to thank
Right.
for Rocky Horrors. But you're right. There's a lot of quotes in it, but it started niche, kind of like Evil Dead did later, and it grew out of that niche to become a lot more prevalent. Because, like I said, people know quotes from Jaws. They know quotes from The Godfather. So they know quotes, and even if they don't know what movie it's from, they'll use it. I mean, I'm sure I've used 3 up here while we were talking, and I didn't even realize they were from movies. And I'll bet we all do that every day. And it just,
okay. I was just thinking of a dramatic movie quote from the Tom Cruise where he's the Navy lawyer.
Few Good Men.
Few Good Men.
Started as a stage play.
Did it?
It did.
But I mean, you can't handle the truth. That's become a become a quote.
But that is an excellent quote. I mean, I think I deserve the truth. But
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. That's a really good. That is a really good dramatic quote. But it started. I don't even know if that started on stage. That might have actually been a Nicholsonism. I would have to go and research that. But it's a great. But it is. That's a great dramatic quote that a lot of people use.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Now I'm on real dramatic quotes. Because you've got the. I could have been somebody.
Oh, I could have been a contender.
Could have been a contender.
Raging Bull. Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Taxi driver?
I mean, you've got the various. James Dean had a bunch of quotes that people use.
True. Great movie quotes. But they're transcending movie quotes. So they are becoming quotes. But again, they kind of leave those movies behind. So it kind of speaks to the whole idea that you can have a good movie quote that's not in a good quotable movie.
Definitely.
And we were talking about this. If you were going to look at we talked about Star Wars even as a franchise not being very quotable. We went the other way and we went to a director whose body of work is basically quotable, and that's Mel Brooks. I mean, you can pick a Mel Brooks movie out of a hat, and the random person on the street is going to know a quote.
Well, at least in our generation.
One, yeah. And no, not anymore. But the folks of a certain age, but they won't even show the good quotes on TV anymore. But to be in societal attitudes, I guess, would affect the longevity of a.
When we started talking about this, I started thinking about we've got Mel Brooks, which is in my mind like a category, and then you've also got like National Lampoon, which is you've got Animal House and the quotes from that, and then Caddyshack and the quotes from that. And you've got Vacation. I mean, how many times you'd be driving along and you'd be like, I can't get left,
Hit a roundabout.
Yeah.
Look, kids, Big Ben Parliament. So there are categories, but that's weird. It's weird that there would be categories of films, but you're right. The National Lampoons.
And then,
Mel Brooks.
The third category I was thinking of is Ghostbusters and Stripes and
the Reitman films.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ivan Reitman films.
The Ivan Reitman films. All of those are quotable.
Yep. If you'd like to take it a step farther, we can have a John Hughes category. We have Breakfast Club. We have.
Breakfast Club is full of quotes.
It's full of quotes. We have.
And somehow that had a resurgence. My kids went through Breakfast Club and fell in love with it.
And societal attitudes aside, that movie still is just about teenager stereotypes. So every teenager is going to identify more with one than the other 4, but they're going to see themselves in all 5.
And they're going to see their school.
And they're going to see their school in that school or in any of those schools. Yeah. So The Breakfast Club is one of those movies that, even though it's being reevaluated, even by one of the stars here of late, for its portrayal of certain things. it is still one of those that if you watch it, you cannot deny the identifiability to your own existence,
Right.
certain things in that film. But Hughes was good at that, and like I said, I know people are trying to reevaluate the films now, but the quotes
I guess
become
the quotability.
I got you, Bender. 2 months.
Too much. I mean, you've got The Breakfast Club and you've got Ferris Bueller's. Were both extremely quotable.
Ferris Bueller is just ridiculously. But again, he's Deadpool had the nod to him at the end of the credits. That was Ferris Bueller was Deadpool before Deadpool.
Right.
Except he didn't kill anybody.
That we know of.
That we know of. You don't know if he killed Abe Froman to get his table. The sausage
King of Chicago. I mean, but of the other John Hughes movies, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, were they quotable? Not as much.
Not as much. There's one or two good quotes in them, but they're not, I don't think, overall quotable of films as, say, Breakfast Club. I think Breakfast Club is just where all of that, because that movie is really primarily dialogue driven.
True.
It's not monologue driven. It's dialogue, and if you ever want a good quote, it's got to be between two people. There has to be an exchange, because someone's going to say something that's quotable that someone has to respond to, or someone's going to say something and it's going to elicit that quotable response.
Okay, so let me throw the exception to that from that movie, where he's crawling through the air vent and he's telling a joke to himself.
Oh.
And you never do hear the punchline of that joke.
Because
Because that's when he falls through the ceiling.
Yeah.
So let's see, what haven't we covered? Better Off Dead, I think extremely quotable. I would put that outside of any category.
Yeah, that
I
would
guess,
not in any of those categories.
Although it's high in that surrealism index, I think.
It is. A lot of the...
I mean, it's so insane.
A lot of the... I hate to go to an actor. A lot of the John Cusack movies are often very... they're not super surreal, but they're just off enough.
Right.
And I don't know if he was drawn to those roles or not, but yeah, his films, there's always something a little off, so you kind of have to cock your head a little bit when you're watching his movies sometimes to do it. But yeah, he normally has a lot of quotes in there.
But I mean, Better Off Dead is,
and
from my immediate group of friends, is extremely quotable.
I wish I'd have had time to go down this list and just sit there and watch all these movies again before I flew down here. But just because so many of them are so...
I think that's our
so
list,
quotable. And
though.
the problem is, even if you can't, and that's what's great about movie quotes, or quotable movies too, is that even if someone says, "Quote, give me a quote from that movie," you might go like, what's your kid's name? I am boy, but when you need it, it's there. Your brain will go and get it and go, here, this is what you were looking for, sir. And I think again, there's no science to determining what's a quotable movie. It's just kind of this ephemeral thing, but if we mention a movie, because some people, every time we mention a movie, I see heads that are like, yeah, it's like, you're right, yeah, because if I said, oh yeah, one of the most quotable movies out there is,
Dodgeball.
Oh, that actually counts. I was looking for a no.
Oh.
I was going to say Pee Wee Herman, but I was like, no, that's pretty quotable.
Cabin Boy.
So Cabin Boy. Stop with the Cabin Boy. But
These pipes are clean.
Not a quotable movie. A couple of good quotes. No, but just any rom. Well, you know what? Rom-coms actually, a lot of them have specifically quotable. They're quotable, but their application might be slightly more limited. But you can still use them in everyday life, and they last a long time. The rom-coms do. But how do you feel about Serenity? We have it on our list.
Is it too niche?
Is it too newish? Is it not? Does it have good quotes? Is it not a quotable movie?
The fact that they always mix in Chinese to just
To cover up the cursing?
so yeah, I would.
You wouldn't. So where would you put it on the scale? What are you thinking? How cool? Like about 0.4? That's not horrible. But it's got some good quotes.
Well, I
Especially
think it's
because-
very quotable with a niche audience.
Yeah. So depending on the audience, that would actually score a little higher. Big Trouble in Little China. Everyone's head will go like this if they've seen Big Trouble in Little China. It might not be super high, but its quotes are really high quality.
Yeah. Like old Jack Burton always says, who? Jack Burton. Me. I mean, you gotta love a guy that quotes himself.
Yeah.
For a quotable movie.
Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail. If you could quote yourself, that's an excellent quote from a movie. Well, like I always say, what? Oh my goodness, what are we doing here? Where are you? I haven't talked you out of Airplane as the gold standard, have I?
No, I think Airplane is probably the most quotable movie around in.
It has legs. I will give you that. It's been around.
What, that was what, 1980?
Something. Yeah, it's.
So.
Airplane was 1980. Yeah, I know. I had to look it up. I was like, that had to be a 70s movie. The Zucker Brothers, I think. I thought it was like because it was a parody of the of Airport,
right,
which was 77, I think. So no, it was 70. It was 75 because I think then they did Airport 77. Was a really lame
movie?
sequel. But yeah, so no, I'm gonna hold fast to The Princess Bride.
Okay.
Partly because I will, because it's probably the one I use the most, and B, because it's the movie itself is so widely appreciated, even if people don't work their quotes in. But the movie is so widely. It's the movie we didn't mention was A Christmas Story. It's kind of like that. It's everyone, A Christmas Story is so good and so quotable, they show it for 24 hours every Christmas.
Okay, hold on though. It's got some good quotes in it, but how
quotable is it?
How quotable is it? I mean, the only one that I drop in regularly is, "Ooh, he went straight to the triple dog dare."
You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out. Okay.
We use bumpuses at my house. We like to use that as a pejorative at my house. Bumpuses.
Hold on, yeah, you're talking me into it now because you've got the entire lamp thing with fragile.
You used all the glue on purpose. That one can be worked into any married couple. It doesn't matter. You drank all the milk on purpose. That one will sneak up on you.
Yeah, it's got more in it than originally came to mind.
Although, to be fair, that could just be a product of repetition for being on for 24 hours every Christmas, for the last 15 years. But to be fair, you can actually turn that movie on at any point and immediately pick up the dialogue. You know what's going on.
Another movie like that is My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, also with some good, I don't know, quotable, but some fun quotes.
Some really fun quotes.
Your Honor, I'd like the permission to treat her as a hostile witness.
Yeah, or the entire Utes.
Yes, Utes. Did you say Utes? That's
identical.
God, I can't believe that guy's dead. That's sad, sorry. I threw comedy on a sad moment. But yeah, no, that's another good one. My Cousin Vinny that's another one to sneak up on you. Christmas Story and My Cousin Vinny, you might not think about those, but yeah, they're there. I think they're on the top, in the top half of the index. They're definitely over 50. I think they're definitely over 50. That was a good choice. Good choice.
Are there any movies that we're failing to mention?
Most of them are older films, again, because longevity plays a part in how quotable a movie becomes. The young lady that was in here mentioned Joker. It's like, but that's brand new. Is it going to be here a year from now or 2 years from now as a quotable movie? So most of these are going to be older films. I mean, stop and think about it. Iron Man is 11 at this point, but how quotable is the original Iron Man?
It had some
good quotes, but again, most of those were probably made up. because they probably let him. Well, no, he couldn't drink on set. I think he was dry at that point. But yeah, so longevity definitely does play. I don't know that there's anyone have a guess? Anyone have a guess for a movie that's come out in the last year that you think is really quotable, that might hang out and become that movie? That Airplane, that Princess Bride, that Monty Python and the Holy Grail, that Christmas Story. Not Die Hard, it only has like 2 or 3 quotes in it. They're great quotes. But there's only a few of them. So yeah. So any recent movies anyone thinks might be quotable down the line? They have a favorite that came out? No comedies, nothing. That's so sad.
I can't think.
From the last year, no, it's not really. Again, it might just take time. Again, it might not even be quotable. There might be a honeymoon period where you don't even get to consider a movie.
Well, I mean, time is also speeding up so much for me that, Dodgeball's a new movie in my mind. I mean, how long has it been out now?
A while. But quotable.
It's got some great quotes.
Steve the Pirate? What?
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
So,
the American Dodgeball Association of America.
Yes, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. So yeah, so what we've talked about for everyone that came in late was the difference between a good movie quote and a quotable movie. How quotable a movie is overall on a scale. And there are movies with good quotes. We talked about Star Wars, but there's only a few of them, so it's not really a quotable film. But they have really good quotes. We talked about Airplane and Princess Bride, which are really quotable movies. They're just you can reach in at any point in the movie and find a way to quote that film somewhere. But yeah, I think the biggest factor, to wrap it up, I think the biggest factor in a quotable film is longevity. I think the film's got to be around long enough to be identifiable to everyone. And so that most everyone is pretty sure where that quote came from when you use it, if they can't finish it for you.
I think I'm going to stick with my premise about surrealism, and the less sense the movie makes, the easier it is to quote, because you can take things out of context.
And you know what? I am not a scientist. So I can't argue with that assessment. That's as logical an assessment as that. I'm sure somebody somewhere is going to get a government grant to do a study on what makes a movie quotable or not. I did not get a government grant to do that study, but I do love to use movie quotes. And like I said, we all do, and I think half the time we don't even realize it when I bet if you watched a videotape of yourself on any given day and really broke it down, or someone else did, they'd be like, you were quoting movies like here. Even if you quote them off a little bit. But again, that's the nice thing about a movie quote, is you can always tweak it to fit a certain situation, which is nice. So we are done and out of time. What's the next panel? Everyone came in for the next panel.
I think the wrestlers. There's one before, but everyone's speculating. We're all waiting for the wrestlers. I think we all want to.
Well, then we'll clear out before an hour from now when the wrestlers come in and hurt us. That would be bad. So, all right. Thanks for listening to us talk about movie quotes.